Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and handball fanatics, and welcome back to a fresh new season of The Struggle, a news talk show powered by love-deprived astrophysicists. I'm your host, Tavleen. Now, please don't switch off yet because you think this is a repeat of season 3 and we have accidentally played the wrong tape, mad as hell style. Look, I know seeing the same host for consecutive seasons is confronting. The struggle has become synonymous with disposable hosts, a bit like The Today Show. But to be honest, that format's getting kind of stale now. While we were on our season break, most of the major TV networks sought to undermine us by clearing out some of their own hosts to try and steal our stick. I mean, MasterChef wiped the plate. The slate queen, Joanna Griggs, is no longer head of house rules, and even Jan Friends disappeared from the feed. And while it might seem ironic that we are the ones providing stability at a time like this, those vacancies aren't going to fill themselves. In the meantime, though, let's kick off season 4. You Aussies love to give things a red-hot go, and according to Prime Minister Scott Morrison, if you have a go, you get a go. But ScoMo has been copping some flack for his latest go-to soundbite after New Start recipient Ricky Bartels called it divisive on Q&A during a discussion about the government allowance. Ricky was retrenched from her job after almost 5 decades of uninterrupted employment. So she asked a very valid question. What more do people need to do to get a go?
I could not find a job, no matter how hard I tried. How would you suggest people like me have a go to get a go?
Put simply, New Start is an income support payment for those who are unemployed and looking for work or doing government-approved activities to find a job. Currently, the allowance is around $280 a week, leaving recipients with just $40 a day to live off. A survey of 465 people on the New Start unemployment benefit found almost a third of recipients skipped 3 to 4 meals a week just to get by on the measly allowance. Others were forced to go without adequate health care. Opposition leader Anthony Albanese has been quick to jump on the bandwagon of support for Ms. Bartels. But the New Start allowance hasn't been raised in real terms in the past 25 years, Labour and coalition governments alike. So, to give us more than just the stats, here's Emily with I'm a Millennial, Get Me Out of Here.
When it comes to diets, I have tried everything. Keto, Whole30, you name it, I've tried it. But lately, I'm on a diet where I'm getting results that I have never seen before. I'm on New Start, and on New Start, the Australian government gives you $40 a day for all your expenses. And it's not all about food either. A recent survey found 2/3 of people on New Start don't use heating and cooling because they can't afford it. So your body becomes a fat burning machine as it works to keep your body warm during these winter months. It's the ultimate body workout. Thanks, New Start. So the diet takes a really holistic approach to your health and well-being. So with $40 a day, doesn't really give you much money to spend on socializing with friends. So I've had to give that up a bit. And now I'm focusing on my studies even more than ever. Now, on New Start, I cut about 3 to 4 of my meals a week. But if you have to give in to those hunger cravings, there are options available to you. Now, Barnaby gave us some really great tips when it comes to meal planning on New Start, but not all of us city dwellers have access to kill our own sheep. Don't worry though, there are options available for you. And the best part of it is, it's waste-free. Thanks, New Start.
A pleasure as always, Emily. And now, to a more serious topic. On The Struggle, we love nothing more than to have a good laugh. But staying upbeat can be difficult when, as a society, we are forced into apathy over the regular, preventable deaths of innocent people. The past few weeks have been somber for much of the United States as it comes to grips with more mass murder.
Outrage, sadness, grief, and anger, and raw numbness are among the emotions our country is wrestling with tonight. Our collective sense of safety strained to the breaking point by 2 mass shootings in the span of about 13 hours.
More than 20 people were killed when a shooter opened fire in a supermarket in El Paso, Texas. And before the world could come to grips with that atrocity, hours later, another 10 people were shot dead in downtown Dayton, Ohio. America might be a long way away geographically, but it's not easy to see a country so culturally close to Australia endure such senseless violence so regularly. To see just how Australians are feeling about this, we go now to our Boomer correspondent, Ian Silverspoon.
Thanks, Tavleen. Yes, more tragedy in the US. Thoughts and prayers are getting sent out again as leaders and citizens alike search for any kind of practical decision that might actually have a chance of getting implemented. Politicians say it's the fault of Call of Duty, which I previously thought was only responsible for boosts in sales of Mother energy drinks and the 13-year-olds that yell at me on the bus. It's become an unfortunately repeating headline that gun violence shakes America. Somehow, the trauma has seeped into the normality. This year, there's been more mass shootings in America than there's been days. And this leaves Australia in an interesting position. We had a single incident, and it sparked change. It hasn't completely avoided mass shootings, but we've come pretty close. We saw an issue that needed fixing, and we brought out swift, far-reaching, and actually pretty impressive gun control. But as a country, we're always happy to get up on our high horse whenever there's issues like these. We shake our heads and throw up our hands, baffled at how easy it seems to be to fix. How can they not see this in their culture? How can they not see what it's doing, what needs to be done? And maybe it's fair. Australia should be proud of gun control laws that have almost entirely avoided any mass shootings. It makes us as a country feel glad to live here, feel safe, and it should. You can't walk into Woolies and buy an assault rifle, and that's exactly the way it should be. But a lot of us aren't free from danger. Here, you're probably not going to be killed by a lone gunman in a supermarket or a school. But in Australia, if you're a woman, you're far more likely to be killed in a city street, or walking back from a night out, or in your own home. You're more likely to be killed by a partner, someone you know. We know of at least 30 women that have been violently killed in Australia this year. That's 30 lives gone, 30 women, 30 victims, 30 fatalities, all murdered under our very nose. If a foreign terrorist murdered 30 women in Australia, it would make headlines for weeks. We'd roll out the Defence Force to find a culprit, we'd shift overseas forces, yet here we are, Australians killing Australians in our very backyard. Our problem was lone gunmen, and we did a good job of that. But now we have to address a new issue. Not a lone shooter, but the violent man. The violent man killing his partner. So be damn proud our country is protecting us from violence in schools and in supermarkets, but appreciate it. But you've got to acknowledge that all around us, there are Australians that aren't even safe in their own homes. So get angry about Dayton and get angry about El Paso. Get angry that a country that is modern day and powerful allows its citizens to be murdered in cold blood. But our job isn't finished. There are innocent people right here getting killed every week, and we are doing it to ourselves. We should be fucking furious.
Thank you, Ian, for that incredibly insightful perspective. We are off to a short break. Welcome back. While we here at The Struggle were on break, the UK announced Boris Johnson as its new Prime Minister. A quick look into the polarising Conservative leader with a hard stance on immigration, and you can't help but notice a comparison to Trump. That's right, they are both Geminis. But the UK's merry-go-round of political leadership is often difficult to follow. We just have such little exposure to it here in Australia. So we look to our far-right correspondent Pauline Han-Sung for some comprehensive analysis on Boris Johnson and his leadership.
I've been getting into some self-care recently over the couple of divorces I've had over the break. And my therapist from Craigslist says that I have really low aura levels. So I've been trying to balance it out by investing in property and also, getting a small loan of $35,000, which I actually bought some energy healing crystals so I could, help manage my stress. But other than that, I've been feeling really optimistic about my show lately, and I feel like this will be like the Pauline Hansung show. So I'm excited. Anyway, a lot of my fans have been asking me, "Oh, Pauline, what's your stance on the UK election and Boris Johnson?" And you know what I always say to them? I'm above you. Don't talk to me. And then I just go back to talking about how much I think climbing Uluru is actually really fun, and it's a really good family activity that brings you together. But there's something about Boris Johnson that really ruffles my feathers and awakens something inside of me. Maybe it's his big oafish kind of man in power, or maybe it's his blonde locks which I can slide my fingers through, and his blue eyes which penetrate through mine. Oh, I shouldn't get too carried away, but you see, the difference between ScoMo, Trump and Boris is that great leaders have great hair. And I made this diagram to showcase this factual information. And most importantly, Boris Johnson, I heard you like making toy trains. I do love toy trains myself, and I might even show you my ankle. Maybe you have a foot fetish. I can show you my feet. Oh, Boris, please love me. I just want someone to love. Boris, please notice me. I love you. Please, we can make beautiful children together.
I thought her adoration of Pauline Han's son was the worst thing about her. Forget speeding, double parking and doing burnouts. You can now get fined for paying with your phone at your local fast food restaurant. Victoria Police conducted a poll on Facebook recently asking the public whether or not you are allowed to pay with your phone in a drive-thru. While 65% of respondents said yes, you are allowed, police said you actually can't pay with your phone when the car engine is still running. Police can also slap you with a whopping $484 fine and 4 demerit points for an offense. Quite frankly, I always fear for my life when the driver behind me leans out the window to pay with their phone. After all, it's not like you ever see customers leaning out of their window to collect their mountain-high stack of food and drinks. To ensure your next fast food meal is worth it, our legal correspondent, Sued Again, is here to break down a safe payment method.
Are you planning on going on a Maccas run soon? Don't worry, I'm here to give you some life-changing tips on how to pay for your food legally. Let's go. Step 1, order your food.
Hi, welcome to McDonald's. What can I get for you today?
Hi, can I please get one kids meal?
No, wait, you just check the screen in front of you. Does that order look correct?
Yes.
No worries, $5.60, just drive on through.
Thank you. Ooh, this coat is really tight. Okay, next step to paying. Hi.
Cheeseburger half meals, one strawberry shake.
Oh, yes, please.
No worries, $5.60, thank you.
Okay, step 2, I put on the park. Pull the brakes, then you can take your foot off. Next step, you have to turn off your engine. And slowly, this is important, pay for your meal. Is that good?
And perfect.
And there you go, you have successfully paid for your McDonald's meal.
Hi, how are you?
So excited. Good, thanks. How are you?
Cheeseburger meal.
Oh, thank you.
Have a lovely day.
You too. Got the goods. Congratulations. You have successfully and legally paid for your Maccas meal. I'm loving it.
This segment was not sponsored by McDonald's.
Great to have you back, Sue. Moving on, The Bachelor is back on our screens, and this time he's got the brains as well as the looks. In case you couldn't tell from the astronomical number of space references in the ads, Bachelor Matt Agnew is an astrophysicist. But who really cares about the guy? The real entertainment comes from the 30 women competing for his heart. So far, there have been wedding dresses, proposals, catfights, and catwalks, and that was only week 1. Fangirl Sophia is here to spill the tea on the ladies.
Oh my god, you guys, The Bachelor is back. There is one thing that I love more than love, and that is drama. And boy, this season has not disappointed so far. We meet all the ladies in episode 1, and 96% of them are blonde. The introductions were crazy, but my personal favorite was absolute Queen Vaco, who practiced saying hello for about 10 minutes in the car, relatable, before striding down her own personal red carpet, and she absolutely owned it. Episode 1 also established our stage 5 clinger, Emma, and honestly, thank God, because clingers keep things very interesting. 8 new ladies entered the Bachelor house in episode 2, but only one thing was running through my mind during this episode. Where is Vaco? She was MIA for the entire episode, and the rose ceremony with 6 girls that none of us really cared about went home. Thank goodness though, Vaco was not gone for good, just out of action with a bunk case of conjunctivitis. Nicole's psycho attitude ensured that episode 3 was filled with drama because apparently no one else is allowed to be blonde or like sports because that is her thing. Then there was Ellie's hometown date, and oh, Ellie, she's just so wholesome, I love her. Ooh, let's talk about episode 4. Guys, Vaco dressed up as Cleopatra and she was golden. She absolutely nailed the group photo shoot until Abby came out of nowhere and sexed things up. There is only one thing better than drama, and that is sexual tension, and man, she brought it. Then, all hell broke loose. The girls had to choose between Abby and Sagant to go have some alone time with Matt. Abby got the votes, and she took full advantage of it. She went in for the kiss, and it was steamy as hell. But then she went back and bragged about her snog, and the other girls were not happy. Abby just became enemy number 1. I can't wait to see what next week brings. Back to you, Tavleen.
How does anyone have that much energy? We are off to another break, but don't go anywhere. And we are back with you again. In other news, Donald Trump has been busy vouching for US hip-hop artist A$AP Rocky. After support from some of Hollywood's heavyweights, Trump has personally guaranteed to bail the US rapper who is behind bars for assault in Sweden, even though the Swedes do not have a bail system. But this isn't the first time politicians have aligned themselves with the luminaries of pop culture and social media to get ahead. Self-proclaimed racist downball king Kevin Rudd has announced a comeback after a 2-year hiatus, offering handball enthusiasts a chance to win one of his signed handballs.
G'day, it's Kevin Rudd here, the global handball king. Well, sort of. Well, in fact, try hard.
His popularity in schoolyards soared to new heights after he took on students from a Brisbane high school back in 2013. Since then, he's been featured regularly on a Handball Fame's Facebook page, which has gained 72,000 followers. Yikes! Apparently, our influencer, who I'm still not following, has some analysis on this. I guess we should hear from Kat, who's now in France, to hide her lack of Instagram followers.
Hey Tavleen, thanks for watching my channel. I know you do. And I am in France, but not for the reason you might think. I've actually realized the world is ending, so I'm gonna hashtag see it before it's hashtag burnt to a crisp. Something about global warming, climate change, I'm not really sure, doesn't matter. Anyway, if you think K-Rudd was cringe, do you remember Bill Shorten's rap-off?
There's more chance of Tony Abbott voting yes. I've nailed the rap, I'm the cat, you're the mouse. The tables have turned, well now it's Shorten's house.
I mean, did he even think of his children? Clearly not, because his daughter was mortified. I can actually relate with that. I used to always skip school and then blame my parents for being shamefest. I mean, why even have kids if you're just going to embarrass them with your dank ways?
Speak to being a politician.
The French president here, President Macron, he used to be a classic younger demographic whore, But I don't know, he doesn't really leave the house anymore. Something about yellow razors. If there's one politician we can all learn from, it's our first female Prime Minister, Julia Gillard. She teamed up with Rihanna. Yes, Rihanna, big star from Fenty Beauty. I mean, it's a perfect match, really. Like, Fenty has a shade for every skin tone, even the palest, freckliest, gingerest skin tone. Match made in heaven. Also, you know, Clive Palmer was really successful with his video he made, and it got like 1.5 million views. I mean, that's a lot. Actually, did he win the election? I can't remember. We should all be like Julia and Clive Palmer, I think.
That's right, Kat. Clive Palmer didn't win a single seat at the last election, so I don't think I'll be taking your advice anytime soon. While many of us would like to think social media is all about fun, games and bozo ball skills, it isn't all a circus. A divisive comment can not only prompt severe backlash, but for some, spell the end of their careers. And Israel Folau isn't the only one currently under scrutiny. With Michaela Banerjee finding herself on the wrong side of a High Court ruling, the former public servant's series of political tweets saw her deemed to have breached the Public Service Code of Conduct, despite her using a pseudonym. Many now fear what this landmark decision means for free speech and censorship, and there are genuine questions being raised. I mean, are the days of rant tweeting Q&A limited? And what about planning the logistics to raid Area 51? Can public servants discuss that? Does that fall into politics or extraterrestrials? Either way, I guess it doesn't matter. Because with 2 million Australians working in the public sector, they can't stop them all. Now, while it seems pretty easy to lose your job with an out-of-line statement on the socials, it's equally as simple for your employer to give you the flick via the gram. I mean, just ask MasterChef's turf trio, Matt, Gary and George, who learned their 11-year culinary dynasty had been cindered to an ash with a solitary post. But to their credit, the former judges departed gracefully, leaving without any hint of acrimony that could have potentially accumulated over the seasons.
And quite frankly, that is disgusting.
With the exodus, though, comes a changing of the guard, and the list of potential candidates is tantalizing, ranging from former contestant Bowling Yo to world-renowned chef and face of Coles Curtis Stone and country cook Maggie Beer or her kitchen co-worker Simon Bryant. All the names being touted are bona fide legends of the food industry. So it only makes sense that our very own cooking enthusiast and Caucasian correspondent Carol Susans has added herself to the list of nominees.
So, I've made some amazing dishes last season, but in light of recent events, I think it's fate. I don't want to limit myself to just being a contestant on MasterChef. I think perhaps I should be a judge. I mean, I did love the trio, do not get me wrong, but as Gary said, it is time to pass the baton on to someone younger and brighter. I do have a feeling that perhaps Gary was directly talking about me. He didn't say it, but we're just speculating here on The Struggle. Don't worry, Gary, no one actually watches the show. Okay. So, there was my political party, the One Nation, Nation, Justice Nation party, but it didn't work out. So, because I know I'm meant to be in the spotlight, I just thought, what better way? The art of cooking is about getting the right ingredients and not throwing in too much exotica. I like to just go down to my local organic grocery store, buy my groceries, take it back to my perfect kitchen and cook it for my perfect Anglo family. The thing about me is I cost less than a waitress at Hellenic Republic, and I too don't demand penalty rates. So think about me when choosing your next judge as MasterChef.
captivating as always, Carol. Well, on that note, it's already time to draw a curtain to the first episode of the season. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to like, share and discuss any fetishes with your favorite pollies here in the comments below. But until we reconvene in a week's time, the struggle, it's real.